My name is Michael. I'm a small business owner. I'm giving Logic Pro a 5 out of 5. For more reviews like this, click below. So I've used a number of different digital audio workstations over the years for different applications. Before using Logic Pro, I used Pro Tools as well as Cubase, and I continue to use them as well. Pro Tools primarily. I also use Logic pretty regularly for more composing as opposed to recording and editing, which I do, and mixing, which I do in Pro Tools. So I wouldn't say that these other software really didn't work for me overall, except maybe that composing in Logic is a bit easier. So that one is the reason that I have chosen to mostly compose in Logic and use that for that application. So a couple other reasons that I chose Logic Pro to use has to do with the cost is just a one-time fee, reasonable amount. Another main reason is that a lot of clients that I work with, they also compose and write. Maybe they write songs in Logic Pro, and I need to have it on my studio computer here in case we need to interface. I also need to know sort of a lot of the technical stuff that's associated with Logic Pro so that I can speak with them and if they have any issues, that kind of thing. So definitely out of a necessity. While I don't use it every day, I do use it fairly often. I'm a Pro Tools user every second of every day, but I do like to compose in Logic as well. So I do find it to be a little bit more user friendly in that way. So if you're thinking about comparing all these different ones, I do feel all these different DAWs, I feel that they can serve different functions, and it's not just necessarily one is better than the other. And yeah, that's mostly the reasons that I would choose Logic Pro. So getting started with Logic Pro is pretty simple. You can just buy it straight from Apple um, App Store. I think it's about $200 still, just the one-time fee. And it downloads all of the software as well as loops, patches, and samples, that kind of thing. You can also choose to install that. One thing you may have an issue with if you do have a lot of plugins, you will need to make sure that they have the right format for Logic. So that is one thing to consider if you are a user of another DAW and you have a lot of plugins that you need to sort of interface over or bring them over. Logic does have a lot of great built-in plugins and sounds as well, so maybe isn't necessary to have your full suite of plugins, but that is one thing to consider, that you may need to install the AAX portion of your plugin software if you don't already. But overall, pretty easy to get started. It runs really well. I didn't have a lot of issues getting going with it. So if you're thinking about getting Logic Pro, you're watching this video, you're looking at tutorials, or just have experience using other DAWs and looking for something else, definitely one that you need to keep on your short list. As with all these types of things, it does really matter exactly what you're looking to achieve, what your goals are, what you are sort of focused on in terms of making music. Is it more editing? Is it more mixing? Is it more composing? So that these are things definitely to consider. If you're more of a composer, a writer, or just looking for something to bang some ideas out musically, Logic Pro definitely going to be at the top of the list, especially if you are not that experienced, or maybe you're coming from GarageBand. The GarageBand and Logic Pro interfaces are very similar user experience, except Logic Pro has a lot more in-depth features, better sounding, patches and instruments, stuff like that. So if you're looking to take it to the next level and you're working in GarageBand or something more basic, definitely Logic Pro is worth it. It's worth the learning curve. It's worth getting into it so that you can get better sounding tracks, better sounding recordings. Definitely a very professional software. If you are looking kind of more for, hey, I'm an audio engineer. I want to do mixing. I want to do audio editing, that kind of thing. Pro Tools probably going to be more your jam. So it's kind of just about what you're looking to do with it. But Logic Pro is as good as any of them.